Hello, how are we doing today? I hope you're enjoying your Saturday, your weekend, your Saturday, your Sunday. I hope that you are enjoying your Sunday and that you're having a nice weekend. I know that I am. And so I thank you for joining me today. My name is Judith Mendoza. I am a behavior consultant and educator, providing online learning. And of course, due to COVID-19, doing remote or also known as virtual online education. So, of course, the education that is provided, it is of the same good quality, right? Good quality education, mentoring, and guidance. And so, today, and also yesterday on Saturday, but usually on Sundays, I like to volunteer my time in doing charity work, bringing autism awareness, education, and mentoring. And so if you like to make a donation to my work, you may do so, and I will be posting a link to this recording today. So I want to explain, because my autism awareness is different than what others are doing. I bring awareness in regards to as a non-autistic individual, and as regards to knowing what autism is, not just knowing that there are individuals who have autism, but also bringing information, education, my research, my data that I have collected, so that others can have understanding of what autism is, right? And so we know when it comes to children that autism is readily seen. But once these children start to become adults, start to become teenagers, they adapt, as we all do. We humans have the capacity to adapt to situations and circumstances. And so those with autism are not different. And so they adapt to situations, adapt to circumstances, and adapt to ways of communication. Of course, not all who have autism do the same thing. And this is because they have different family members, they come from different families with different values. And so that's what I have seen, that it will depend on what background the person has, and especially if there is spiritual background that the person has been taught. And this is in general with everybody, not just with those who have autism, right? And so today I wanted to speak in regards to understanding the skill of listening. Listening is a very important part in communication, especially, of course, this is important when you are having a conversation with another individual and you have the physical presence of the individual. Even those who are not autistic have difficulty with this skill. For the most part, we humans, we have the male men and we have the female women. We are different. One of those differences, of course, we have many differences that make us be who we are. So it is not just the obvious, right? The obvious will be our private parts. We call them private parts, right? But our sexual organs are not the only obvious thing that is different in the human body. Every cell in our body is either female if we are female, or male for those who are male. When it comes to listening, and because of the way that we have been created, our listening is different for women than for men. And what makes this different in us is the way that we have been made. It is not a secret that women are more into details, more into paying attention to details. We want to know when someone is telling us a story, we want to know from the beginning. And we don't want to know the end. We just want to go step by step by step by step until we get to the end. Even if we can know the end, we don't want to know the end. We want to know the beginning first, what happened after that, what happened in the middle, what happened after the middle, and then what happened at the end. I know that when I read books, and before when I was in high school, I used to read more books based on real stories. I didn't like to read much fantasy, or I did not believe it to be of any benefit for me reading fantasy things or things that didn't exist or whatever. So I prefer to read things that were based on true stories, right? And so when you get a book, you can open the end and see, just read the end and see what happened, but you will not understand a story if you just read the end. That's the way I thought about it. So I know that other people like to do that also. They will say to you, don't spoil it for me. Don't tell me what happened. I want to find out. Don't tell me how we ended. Most likely you have heard the same. So today I am going to be explaining the skill of listening, because when we think about conversations, communication with others, we don't give it too much attention, or we don't give it too much of a thought when it comes to how important listening is. And it is not that the same as hearing, having the capacity to hear, right? As when you're doing a test or when you hear a noise. And sometimes we have to also, now that I'm thinking about, this is something that also we have to train our mind when it comes to concentrating. And sometimes there are some individuals that have difficulty concentrating when there is noise around them. This is something that I also used to go through. But everything in our lives, every skill will require that we have some control of ourselves. It is myself that I had to control, that I had to have power over when I couldn't control other situations. Sometimes we cannot control situations. Sometimes controlling situations and circumstances and people, we can't control people, right? We can come to agreement with other humans by means of using our power of our mouth, of our voice. And that is why our voice is very important. What we say, how we say it, right? Modulating our voice for the occasion. So there are different skills that have to do with communication. And so besides that, these compose our personality, right? So we have, for example, some of the things that I wanted to mention, right, that have to do with our communication when we're communicating with others. And so I mentioned modulating our voice, having modulation. And these are things that I will be speaking about later on. But besides listening, which is one of the main factors, one of the main components in communication, we have speaking with naturalness. Be natural when we speak, right? So I know those in the autism spectrum disorder have to learn these things, but also those who are non-autistic have to learn these things. And so yes, there are schools that teach all of these factors, and if you have the money, you should spend the money in order for you to be able to use your body, your voice, right, in order to speak. So there is also volume, controlling the volume of our voice, speaking in a way that, and this is, right, forming my pattern that I'm going to use in order for me to function, in order for me to speak with others, right? So this will take that you take into consideration the factor of identity also. So we have the identity, right? We are unique humans. We have a unique, we should be forming this. This is something that we get to form for ourselves. And then, of course, these things that we're forming for ourselves, will have to do with our the personality that we will be making, because we already have a personality made. It doesn't matter if your personality is made of different patterns of identity and you believe that this is a way of communication. The way that it comes out to other humans is that whatever I do with my hands, whatever I say with my mouth, whatever I reflect with my face, it is Judith, right? So you may be trying to explain to others because you have autism and you're verbal, but the way that you're communicating is by having patterns of identity, and so you're identifying with as others, impersonating others, using the conversation of others, forming your own conversations by pretending to be others. And so you acknowledge it or not, you are portraying onto others, as we all do. We portray onto others who we are. So if I am pretending to be someone else other than me when I speak, and when I speak I'm saying I, but I don't mean I mean someone else, because I am pretending to be someone else as I speak in order for me to speak. Even if I'm pretending that I'm someone else, the voice is coming out of my mouth. So in reality, this someone else that I am pretending to be is only inside of my imagination. The reality is that it is my mouth that's speaking, my mouth that is on my body. And so whatever I am saying it as Judith. That is the way people see it. And that is the way that it is, because it's my mouth that's saying the words. Right? So I will be speaking about these things later on so that you can have a better understanding of the concept of identity for self. Right? So I am very conscious in my knowledge that I have, right? I am very conscious of my existence as Judith, that whatever I say, it is me who say it. If I'm repeating someone else's words, it is still me who's saying it. Right? So if you are an adult who have autism and you have made a habit of speaking in this way, you will have to form a new habit which will replace this habit that you have. We all form habits. And so because our brain function has to do with the function of other systems in our body, we have to make sure that we are having the vitamin B12. And for me, I was taking 100 mcg, micromilligrams, but now I'm taking 1,000. I got the gummies, and they are not sweet. So the gummies, 1,000 mcg, vitamin B12, I'm taking every day now. and I try it to see how it is that my body feels, and I feel good. I take one every day, and I just feel, you know, good. I see myself also. I see that I was swollen, and having inflammation in the body also has to do with the brain. Inflammation is not a good thing. And let me tell you, I don't know if you have seen a dead animal on the road, right? Because you know, we need, these things are available for us, and so we don't have to go inside the body in order for us to know. We just have to be observant and observing ourselves also. I like to do that. I eat the same things. I eat a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables whenever I have them, because it's not every time that I have them. And then the other day I realized, you know, sometimes we're not eating these things every day. Like, I may eat certain fruits and vegetables on some days, but in some days I don't. So that is where we need the supplements. We need to supplement in order to be healthy, because it doesn't matter how much food I ate that had to be with health, salads, fruits. I was still swollen. I wasn't taking the vitamin B12. I have forgotten for some time, for a few weeks. And the thing is that once you stop that, then your body stops functioning. And taking the vitamin D3 also, we are made out of cells. All of these cells require all of these different hormones. The vitamin D3 is a hormone. Vitamin B12 helps with our correcting, helps with the making of our DNA and our chromosomes. Our blood is oxygen that we need in order for us to live. So have you ever seen a dead animal on the road? Something hit it, it's dead. What happens to it? It gets inflamed, inflammation, swollen, before it bursts into just decay. And basically, inflammation is something that is not good for us in our body, and we might not know it. We might not know that we're doing this. And what happens is that the body builds resistance, that you can resist, you can take it. You feel pain, you can take it, and then little by little you start getting accustomed to it, because that's how we were built. We were built to endure, to live. And so the body seeks to live. And so I can tell that my lining over here on my face, it is it's not swollen. Also, I had over here a deep lining over here underneath my eyes. It's not there no more. So every day that passes that I'm taking my vitamins, my body is recuperating. And it's been a month, or almost more than a month, that I have gone back to my routine. And I do take my vitamin B12, D3, the E, the C, the magnesium at night, the omega-3. I am diabetic, and diabetes can harm all your organs and systems in your body. So we're not curing anything by having nutrition supplements through vitamins. So that is important. I will bring that every time I speak in regards to any topic that I am speaking about that has to do with my with what I do, which is behavior consulting and an educator. And so when it comes to communication, there's different factors. There's our voice. So instead of having patterns of identity of others, we need to form our own. And when we do have conversations with others, it is the responsibility of every human to be able to speak out, right? So we learn. If you don't know how, we learn. If you're an adult, you're alive. It doesn't matter if you're an adult or if you're a young person, if you're an older adult, it doesn't matter. If you don't know and you're alive, then you can learn because you're alive, right? This thing about age, in you know, that some people make prejudice in regards to age. We're all of us are aging. So other things that we want to make sure when we are speaking is in regards to what is that we want to talk about. Forming an idea, forming thoughts, being able to learn from the conversations of others, what they are saying, because those with autism may be just replicating conversations of others and they're not even paying attention if that was an argument, if that was something inappropriate, if that was something conflicting. They're just repeating the words that they're hearing and taking that from this little piece from there and this little piece from that. And so instead, it is best that we learn how to listen. And I know, and this is also what I'm going to speak about in regards to sensory issues that those with autism may have, and that is understandable. If I have my hand with pain, I am not gonna be wanting to do anything with my hand because it hurts. The same thing is with my ears, right? If my hearing, my ears are oversensitive, of course I am not gonna be wanting to hear anyone because my ears are oversensitive. So it is the same with any other part of our body that might be oversensitive for whatever reason. We don't want to put it to use. So, well, let's find out, because we want to know, right? Understanding our listening skills for men are different than women. By nature, men have been made with different. The way that we were made, women, we tend to be more paying to attention to details, and we want to know details. And so this can make it seem, right, that men don't care, men don't want to listen, men don't want to pay attention, But that is not the situation. We have to understand that we have been made differently, right? And we have to then try to come to compromises and get along. Men have to have the understanding that the way that they have been made, it can have an effect on how they are going to use their hearing. And this also includes those who have autism, and especially those who have autism or attention deficit disorders. These who have attention deficit disorders and who have autism will have the most difficult times when it comes to relationships. Family relationships, but also especially with intimate relationships. Relationships that have to do when they are married, for example. So it is important that we find out what is autism, how autism affects the person who has autism. The person who has autism should find out how this affects him or her, because it is not the same for everybody, including when it comes to the hearing. It's different for some people. Some people are able to not take any type of noise, and some can, and can be involved in even in being in bands, singing and playing music, and being in places where they play loud music, where people are loud, right? And they don't have no problem with that. So when it comes to using our hearing, right? So I am going to show you, because we have to know our hearing, right? We have the I want to show you a picture, and this is the ear, the anatomy of it. So there are some, in some circumstances, which their hearing they cannot hear. So hearing is important. All our senses are important. All our senses are involved, or should be involved, when it comes to communication, or when it comes to that we impart information to others. Now, we have our ear anatomy. How does it function? What is the function of it? How is it related to our systems, body systems? Well, as everything else in our body, our nervous system also has to do with our hearing. So our ears are organs of hearing. They transmit information to the brain. But if we have a malfunction of it, meaning that our hearing is not functioning the way that it should function to carry information from sources, external sources, right? Either because we are lacking the hearing, or because we are oversensitive, and our ears are oversensitive. So how are these sounds transmitted? Well, it is through our nervous system. We have the cochlear nerves that transmit nerve impulses to our brain. But if our nervous system is somehow damaged, is oversensitive, it will also make everything else oversensitive. So how to correct this? What will correct it? It becomes the matter of, again, nutrition. You can find a fix for it, right? Because we can have the hearing aids for our hearing if we are unable to hear well. And usually nowadays medicine is concentrating. The reason why I make the face is because there is someone there calling me mommy. I don't know why. I have no children. Okay, so I know in some cultures some people call and today, hello Trey, today I am doing why are you calling me mommy, child? So okay, that's weird, right? So you just said mommy to me, and then you're saying that I am pretty. I am imagining that is okay in another way. So anyways, right, what I was going to say is that when it comes to medicine, they tend to have concentrated nowadays in the outcome of the disease and fixing it, finding a cure for it, but not to what is causing it. And now they also are relating vitamins as if it's something that the body doesn't need, even though they are making lab tests in order for them to know what's inside of our body and if we have deficiencies of whatever. And it is evidence that obviously they can make tests, labs for vitamin D, for vitamin B12, and for all of these elements that make up our body. But yet, they want to promote something else as a fix. And well, as I have mentioned before, sometimes people concentrate in making money, and they can control knowledge. They can control what we know. So it is the responsibility of each and every one of us to know ourselves, to know how our body functions, and to know what we can do about it. So this is why I also have I have a class. So Tiny says, I'm so happy you are on today. Okay. So then, um, medicine is doing whatever they're doing, right? Everybody concentrates on whatever they're doing, and in medicine has become the business that it is. And so we have to also make sure that we take care of ourselves, of our own body, and having knowledge of it, of how it functions too. So we have the nervous system, that if the nervous system goes off from where it should be, you will have sensory problems. Let me repeat it. If your nervous system is off balance, it will not function correctly, and you will be oversensitive, including becoming anxious. The way that we can remedy this in our body is by taking the vitamin B12, the vitamin D3, the vitamin E, the vitamin C, the magnesium at night, and the vitamin D3 should be at least 50 mcg, micromilligrams, or 2000 international units, IU. The B12 should be at least, as I'm trying now, right? Because I try things first. I see how it functions in my body, and then I tell people. And also I have to do this because I have to tell Frank, my family member who has autism, what he should take and what he shouldn't take. And so I tell him what to take, and his function has been better, of course, in his brain. And so 50 micromilligrams of vitamin D3, 1000 micromilligrams of vitamin B12, at least 800 milligrams of vitamin E, at least 500 milligrams of vitamin C, and at least 1000 milligrams of the omega-3. And then the magnesium at night, at least 300 milligrams of magnesium at night before you go to sleep. And especially if you take magnesium citrate, it's very fast acting. You will fall asleep within a few like maybe half an hour to an hour. So if you take it half an hour before you go to sleep, an hour before you go to sleep, you will be okay, because it is a mineral that we need for our body. So if you're having problems with your nervous system, it is because you're lacking the essential nutrients that most likely you're not getting if you're not eating whatever you're supposed to be eating. And as I found out, of course, it is impossible to get it just by food alone. It is impossible. You have to take the supplements. And this is according to my data, my information that I have taken from my own research that I have done from my own body. Each of us, my body has a difficulty absorbing the vitamin B12. At the moment, because we are in the midst of a pandemic, which is not something, it is a pandemic, COVID-19, People are inside their homes, they're getting no sunlight, and before maybe they got a little bit, and anyways they were deficient. So if you want to correct the problem when it comes to the nerves and your nervous system, right? And I have here the information in regards to the nervous system. The nervous system stems from our brain throughout all of our body, including our senses. So, of course, there are some people who have problems with hearing. They cannot hear, right? So then they have to have whatever they need in order for them to hear, obviously. But if you're oversensitive in your hearing, I am not wiping my makeup. Someone says don't wipe your makeup off. No. I am close enough. Okay, so those who have cochlear problem, then they can fix that. But basically, our nervous system has to do with our hearing, right? So we can correct it by having the necessary things that we need for our body in order for it to function well. Then these cochlear nerves transmit impulses to your brain, and then the brain interprets the sounds coming from the world surrounding you, or from around you, from your environment. But if you have oversensitive sensory issues, it has to do with your nervous system. That is transferring the information that you hear. So if your nervous system is not balanced, then your hearing is going to, of course, have a problem, right? So understanding, listening, and listening has to do with caring. And sometimes, of course, as I mentioned, if you do have sensory issues, even if you care, even if you want to know, even if you want to do your best in order for you to listen and pay attention, because you have an unstable nervous system, either because you have attention deficit disorder, which is related to your nervous system being unbalanced, and also if you have autism, because also your ears, your sensory, your hearing senses are attached to your nervous system, it will create a problem instead for you, and it will become difficult. Even if you care, even if you do want to hear, even if you do want to pay attention, it will be a painful process, right? You will become uncomfortable in that is understandable. But understand that you can do something about it. And you, I have mentioned the things, right, that will help alleviate. Remember that we are made from the things that we eat. And if you are not having the things including the things that we should be eating and should be digesting in our body for our body to function well, then minerals, amino acids, hormones, our vitamins, antioxidants, all of these things will make our function better, right? And so I wanted to also mention that our nervous system help connect our other sensory parts. They work all together. They are connected all together. And so if you are having sensory issues other than your ears, it's because of that. You are malnutrition, you're not having the vitamins, minerals, amino acids that you're supposed to have inside of your body, and you will continue to have this, and most likely it will get worse if you don't take and pay attention and do something about your deficiencies. Basically, that is the truth about it. So our eyes, our ears, and our tongue, and our skin have to do with our sensory organs. And so you will continue to have these problems and difficulties even more if you do not take the essential vitamins that you should have. Also, besides that, sleeping well, which magnesium will help with that. Also melatonin. So if you take melatonin and magnesium together at night before you go to sleep, melatonin you should take at least 2 hours before you go to sleep. Magnesium citrate should be taken at least half an hour or 2 hours before you go to sleep. I take them together at night. I take magnesium and melatonin and I go to sleep after I take it. So like if I have to be on the phone and maybe do a post before I go to sleep at night, said something to someone before I go to sleep at night, then I can do that, and then I put my phone aside and I fall asleep normally, as it should happen. And so understanding our listening skills have to do with understanding our body function. It has to do with taking care of our nutrition, including supplements, taking supplements, the ones that I have mentioned, that have to do with maintaining our nervous system, right? And these are things, what I'm saying is things that not only I know about some others, because I know that there are studies and data about people who have done studies on them, but the way that I do it is that I make sure that I know about myself first, and then I compare whatever data that I have for myself, from myself, that I know how I take note about how my body is feeling. I take note about how my body looks on the outside. As I mentioned, there was a big difference that I saw once I started again taking my vitamin B12. I had inflammation inside of my body, and because I had inflammation inside of my body, there were many things that were not functioning well already, to the point that when it was too much of the deficiency that I had, I felt like I was dying, right? So it wasn't, I was missing that only one, that the B12, and sometimes I change. I take instead the B complex, and then the next day I will take the B12. For now, I have been taking the B12 constantly every day. And so I wanted to explain this in regards to listening, right? Because sometimes we can concentrate only on and be thinking that the skill of listening has to do only with noise that we hear, sounds that we hear. And so the skill of listening has to do with one given of one's time. Listening means that I have to stop, I have to concentrate on what someone is saying, and I have to pay attention to what the person is saying to me so that I can give an answer to that person if an answer is required, because sometimes it doesn't require that we answer to someone. It just requires that we are listening and that we can say, you know, I understand. I have been in that situation. And when it comes to men, males are created differently than females, including in the way that they go about with their listening skills, right? So having that knowledge, then a person, a male man can say to himself, you know, I need to really make an effort and pay attention to what my wife is saying to me. Turn off the TV when she's speaking to me, concentrate on what she's saying, and make the effort to listen to her. These little things can make a difference in a relationship with someone. Listening is interpreted as caring. Listening is an action, right? That shows that one cares for another human, because we're giving of our time, we're giving of our being to care for someone else, to care about what someone else wants and likes in their interests, right? But as I mentioned, those who have autism and those in the attention deficit disorder, with attention deficit disorder, because they have unbalanced nervous system, carrying that information to the brain might become very difficult, even painful, because the hearing, the nervous system is overloaded with the information. Instead of it being information, instead of it being a sound that you want to pay attention to, it becomes a problem and pain. And so I have mentioned that the why it happens. So it is up to the person, it is up to you to do something about your body, to do something about yourself. And if you don't do it, then you will not see the results. Whatever I am saying, it is not something that it is not known. Doctors know this, scientists know this, people who do studies know this. It is not a secret. But they're not going to tell us either. And as I mentioned, people in medicine are now more accustomed to allowing the disease to process and then trying to figure out how it evolved, what happened, what the person goes through with the disease process, and It could be something that could have been totally avoided. But if it's avoided, right? But if it's avoided, then the disease process may not happen. And so then they will not know. So, but whatever I am saying to you in regards to the nervous system, in regards to sensory issues, in regards to nutrition, in regards to the things that we should be eating, the things that we should be intaking, it's not a secret. It's not news. It's known. And nowadays also, because of so many things are happening, if you go to your doctor might not even tell you unless you ask. So, and sometimes it is because of how the systems are. If your insurance don't cover it, then they might not offer it to you, because maybe you know, they don't want to offer it either. And then if you ask for it, then you may have to pay out of pocket for maybe, let's say you need a vitamin B12 or B complex injection, but your insurance don't cover it. The doctor may not offer it. And so there are many things that your doctor may not offer also, because now there are so many things that have to do with fraud. And so patients have to become informed and educated in regards to these matters, in regards to their health, in regards to our life. Right? So having communication has to do, yes, with listening, but listening, our skill, understanding the skill of listening, has to do with more than just hearing sounds, hearing noise. It has to do also with our well-being, physical well-being. And so I hope that you are able to take the necessary and essential nutrients and vitamins, minerals, amino acids that you need. If you take a multivitamin, it's okay, take the multivitamin. If you have autism, that will be the best if you want to do that. If you want to take the vitamins just as how I have mentioned them, go ahead and do it. If you are doing, if you are in the autism spectrum, if you have attention deficit disorder and you're a smoker, then know that your nervous system will be even more in trouble. You will have even more difficulty in the function of your body and your brain function. So know that. And so the best thing to do will be to take the vitamins as I told you, or take the multivitamins, and then take also vitamin D3 if it doesn't have it. If your multivitamin don't have enough of the vitamin D3, then take additional so that you can balance that out. If it doesn't have B12, then take it in addition to your multivitamins, or take the vitamins that I have told you, right? And so that is it for today. I thank you for joining me today, and next week I will consider with other subjects that have to do with communication, learning how to communicate, and learning the skills that are required for communication. All right, so my name, no, I have to go. Tiny says stay there, move closer. He wants me to move closer. So I am a behavior consultant and educator, and I am bringing autism awareness, education, and mentoring. And so next week I will continue with the same topic, which is understanding the importance of I. And so remember, that's what we want to build. The importance of I, understanding I, the person of I, right? So have a beautiful Sunday, and until the next time.